report on the latest scientific information on the Great Pyramid of ancient Egypt. This may be humanity's most audacious achievement, a skyscraper built without computers or machines.
We are obsessed with our own progress. We believe that history is a straight line, a steady climb from the mud to the satellite. But there is a structure in the Egyptian desert that suggests we are wrong. It is the Great Pyramid of Giza. It is 4,600 years old, and it is a mathematical insult to the modern world. For 3,800 years, this was the tallest man-made object on Earth. It consists of 2.3 million stone blocks. Some weigh 15 tons. Others, located in the King's Chamber, weigh 80 tons, roughly the weight of a Boeing 737. But the weight isn't the anomaly. The precision is. Each of the pyramid's 4 sides faces the cardinal points, north, south, east, and west, with an error of less than 1/10 of a degree. To achieve this today, we use GPS and laser theodolites. In 2600 BC, they had copper chisels and hemp rope, or so the textbooks tell us. The stones are joined so tightly that you cannot slide a sheet of paper between them. This isn't just good masonry. This is forensic engineering at a scale that shouldn't exist in the Bronze Age. Why build it? Pharaoh Khufu claimed it was a tomb, a secure vessel to protect his body for eternity. But when we look at the internal logistics, the Grand Gallery, the counterweight systems, the red granite imported from Aswan 800 kilometers away, we see something else. We see a civilization that wasn't just building a grave. They were anchoring the planet. If the Great Pyramid is the wonder of certainty, our next subject is the wonder of doubt, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. History tells us King Nebuchadnezzar II built these gardens for his wife, Amytis, because she missed the green mountains of her homeland. It is a beautiful story. It is also likely a lie. Archaeologists have scoured Babylon for decades. They have found the Ishtar Gate. They have found the palace foundations. They have found nothing that resembles a garden. Gray. But 300 miles to the north, in the city of Nineveh, the records are different. The Assyrian king Sennacherib left inscriptions describing a palace without rival. He described advanced plumbing. He described a stone aqueduct that transported water 50 kilometers from the mountains. He described what we now call the Archimedes screw, a device to lift water against gravity, 350 years before Archimedes was even born. The Hanging Gardens weren't just a romantic gift. They were a demonstration of hydraulic dominance, a civilization proving they could force nature to flow uphill. We may have been looking for the gardens in the wrong city for 2 millennia. The mystery isn't that they disappeared. The mystery is why we wanted to believe they were in Babylon so badly that we ignored the forensic evidence in Nineveh. In the ancient world, the night was absolute. If you were at sea, you were blind, until you reached Alexandria. The lighthouse of Alexandria, the Pharos, was the first megastructure of the maritime world. It was 100 meters tall, 3 times the height of a modern lighthouse. During the day, a massive mirror reflected the sun. At night, a fire burned so bright its reflection could be seen 50 kilometers out at sea. It was a beacon of the Enlightenment, built by the Ptolemies to guide the world to the center of knowledge. But mirrors and fire cannot withstand the earth. Between the years 900 and 1300, a series of earthquakes tore the Pharos apart. Piece by piece, the tallest light on Earth fell into the Mediterranean. Today, if you dive into the harbor of Alexandria, you will find the ruins, massive blocks of granite and broken statues of Zeus sitting in the silt. The light didn't just guide ships. It announced that Alexandria was the capital of the human mind. When the light went out, the Middle Ages began. While the pharaohs dominated the horizon, the statue of Zeus at Olympia dominated the soul. It was 12 meters tall, a seated god made of gold and ivory, so large that if he had stood up, he would have unroofed the temple. The sculptor Phidias understood psychological warfare. He placed a shallow pool of olive oil at the base of the statue. The oil served two purposes. First, the moisture kept the ivory from cracking in the heat. Second, it acted as a black mirror. When a pilgrim entered the temple, the light would hit the oil and reflect upward, illuminating the gold and ivory from below. Zeus didn't just sit, he glowed. In the 5th century, the statue vanished. Some say it was destroyed by fire in Constantinople. Others say it was dismantled for its gold. But its legacy remains in our architecture. Every time you see a seated figure in a grand memorial, from the Lincoln Memorial to the statues of modern dictators, you are looking at the ghost of Phidias's Zeus. If Giza was for the dead and Olympia was for the gods, the Temple of Artemis at Ephesus was for the money. It was the Bank of Asia. It was a sanctuary for refugees, a place of worship, and the most secure financial institution in the ancient world. It was constructed entirely of marble, with 127 columns standing 60 feet high. It was 4 times the size of the Parthenon. On the night Alexander the Great was born, a man named Herostratus walked into the temple with a torch. He didn't have a political motive. He didn't have a religious one. He wanted to be famous. He burned the greatest building in the world to the ground so that history would have to remember his name. The Ephesians were so horrified that they passed a law making it illegal to even mention his name. They wanted to delete him from the human record. They failed. Herostratus is the patron saint of the modern mass shooter and the internet troll, the man who realizes that destruction is the shortest path to immortality. In the city of Halicarnassus, a ruler named Mausolus wanted to bridge the gap between Egypt and Greece. He wanted a tomb that didn't just hide a body, but celebrated a life. The mausoleum at Halicarnassus was a 40-meter-tall hybrid, a Greek temple sitting on an Egyptian base topped by a pyramid. It was so influential that we stopped calling these structures tombs. We called them mausoleums. Like the pharaohs, it was dismantled by the earth. Earthquakes in the 14th century brought the columns down. The Knights of St. John eventually used the marble blocks to build a fortress, grinding the ancient statues into dust to make lime for mortar. The bones of a wonder were used to build a defense against the Ottoman Empire. History doesn't preserve, it recycles. Finally, we reach Rhodes. In 305 BC, the city was besieged by Demetrius the Besieger. He brought a war machine called the Helepolis, a 160-ton siege tower. He failed. When he fled, he left the tower behind. The people of Rhodes didn't just celebrate, they looted. They melted the iron and bronze from the enemy's weapons and used it to build the Colossus. It was 32 meters tall, a bronze god standing at the edge of the harbor. It lasted 56 years before an earthquake snapped its knees. For 800 years, the Colossus lay in the dirt. It became a tourist attraction. People would travel across the Mediterranean just to wrap their arms around its thumb. But in the year 653, the Arabs captured Rhodes. They didn't see a wonder, they saw scrap metal. They broke the statue into pieces and sold it to a merchant. It took 900 camels to carry the god away. The 7 wonders are not a list of achievements, they are a list of warnings. They tell us that precision can be lost, that beauty can be burned for fame, that the tallest light on earth can be extinguished by a tremor. We look at the Great Pyramid and we wonder how they built it. The real question is, why did we forget how?